Welcome to Thursday Night Knives. I'm your host, Bob DeMarco. Coming up, a new HEA Designs collaboration with Boker Knives. I finally get an umnums on, and we talk about, I didn't think I'd like it, but ... And I have a very salient example of that this very same night. But we'll get to that in just a minute. How you guys doing out there? Guys and gals, I happen to know that on occasion we have some gals with us. So how y'all doing out there tonight? We're hello, Facebook user. Howdy, first of all. Second of all, on Facebook, there's this thing where you have to take special care to sign your name, and otherwise you just come across as that. And I don't know who I'm talking to, but hello and thanks for joining us. Michael, great to have you here as always, sir. It is a pleasure. We have Chris Bladeogre, who is working on his very first Bowie. I saw some samples of it online today. Chris, can't wait to see that thing when it's all finished. Snuznuz, great to have you here, sir. Hello, sir. Oh, we have Ezekiel and Jonathan. Great to have you fellas here tonight. I have my, I know you'll resonate with this. I've been geeking out on this all night tonight. I love this. This is my new bedside knife, and I saw that you guys got one of these too. It's awesome. I feel like it's more refined than the earlier version. Hey, Dave, how's it going, sir? Oh, and you too, Bob. Hey, Dave, we're going to be featuring some of the awesome stuff you sent me. As a matter of fact, the I didn't think I'd like it, but topic tonight is inspired directly by one of the knives you sent me. And of course, you know which one I'm talking about. Chad, great to have you here, sir. As always, a pleasure. David E, with that cool little insignia. I dig it. Sean M, a pleasure, sir. Greetings. And Facebook user is Richard. Richard, good to have you here, sir. Thanks for coming. Kepmuk Neshart, good to have you here. I hope that Canadian belt knife got to you back home safe and sound. Nick Edie Sear, great to see you here, sir, as always. Knife Fast, awesome to have you, man. Fellow Virginian, I hope you don't mind if I say that. Blade Hobby. Oh, actually, Blade Hobby. Don't mean to interrupt myself saying hi to you, sir. Good to have Blade Hobby here, fellow knife nuts. I think that's a different podcast, but we're all knife nuts, aren't we? Walt, great to have you here. Happy to be home from work. Happy to have you home from work. Having a tasty beverage. I was about to say nasty beverage, walking and talking to people who talk about knives. Cheers, sir. I am having a beer tonight because I discovered we have leftover beer from my birthday party. We have a kegerator. We didn't buy it ourselves. It was here when we moved in, and we got a little tiny sixth of a keg, and no one ever ended up drinking it. And I was like, oh my God, we have a beer faucet. And so I have a beer tonight. Shredder guys. Yes, totally agree. The handle texture is better too. I agree. In the new backcountry, I agree. I mean, I like the Anzo pattern of the black, but this one is even more refined. Like the coating, this tie-dye coating, I think this is more even. The black coating on my other one it's a little spotty. This one is just more refined, like you said. Excuse me, John R. Good to have you here, John. It's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. Nope, proud for the most part. For the most part, I hear you, man. It seems like my county has been popping up in the news a lot lately, and I'm not too crazy about that. It made it, Bob. Thanks. My pleasure. Kepmuk. He's going to be using that belt knife, the large Northern Hunter by LT Wright. This hunting season, which begins where Kepmuk is in October. So that's tomorrow. I don't know if it starts tomorrow, but it starts real soon. So can't wait to hear. Actually, Kepmuk, now that I've experienced that knife and had it under my roof for a couple of weeks and enjoyed it, I would love to see pictures of it or even a video of it in action. If you bag a deer or whatever hunters say, if you take a deer this season, I'd love to see you using that knife to dress it. That'd be cool. I feel like I was saying something, but you know what? It's that kind of evening. And I may have lost it. I was talking about knives fast. I have seen. I know who you are. I remember seeing you at Blade Show. I think you had a monopod. Is that correct? Because I knew who you were before then, but I don't think I was subscribed to you, or maybe I just hadn't been watching too many knife videos. But since I've been watching your videos, and I'm like, I saw that guy. I think he had a monopod and was doing interviews at Blade Show. Was that you? Just curious. Let me know. And now I would like to bring the evening to this because I just can't contain myself. Usually I like to try and we have Moon Pirate. Moon Pirate, pleasure to have you here. Thank you for delaying me for just a quick moment. Monocle. Yes, sir. That was me. I knew it. See, I'm observant. Even though my wife thinks I'm not, I am observant. Well, at least for things that matter. I might not be able to find the tartar sauce in the fridge, but I can identify YouTubers at Blade Show. Okay, so I want to talk about Pocket Check because I have something very exciting here that I bought from Blade Freak, and I talked about it last week, but it has arrived in the interim, and I've been carrying it ever since, and I absolutely love it. And it's a classic. It's nothing new, so everyone who's looking for something like new and flashy, it ain't this, but I love it. This is the Chris Reeve Knives Umnumzan Tanto. Oh. This knife is a little finicky to open. I intellectually know how to do it. My thumb is still getting used to it. You really kind of have to, it's a very low profile, low texture thumb stud. So you really have to kind of grab onto that little rubber ring. Knives Fast says, I should have interviewed you just getting too much done in my, in your one day. That's how it works, man. You're not there to interview me. You can talk to me anytime. Just send me an email. But these guys selling and showing off their awesome knives, you got to catch them while you can. Walt says, born in Portsmouth and lived in Norfolk and Virginia Beach. Nice. Visited Bristol recently, about 15 years. Awesome, man. This is my adopted state. And there are things that I love about it, like the landscape and the people. And there are things I don't like so much about it. Which you could probably guess what that is. Snuznuz says, no one can find the tartar sauce, Bob. You're not alone. Thank you, sir. It's good to know. I had a Knives Fast shirt on. Oh, okay. I'm not that observant. I'm easier to spot than tartar sauce. I'm not that observant. I think I saw the monopod and was like, ooh, that's awesome. And then I saw your face. I was like, okay, noted. And then when I saw you on video, I was like, oh. But, I mean, you expect me to read a T-shirt? Come on, I'm not that observant. I'm not a superhero over here. Lone Wolf says, evening all. I'm off work tomorrow, and I can stay up and watch. Nice. Lone Wolf, thanks for coming. It's great to have you here. Actually, it's good news. Friday mornings, my wife usually has a 6 a.m. call for work. Tomorrow she doesn't. That means I have a 6 a.m. call for work because she gets up, does her thing. And even though I finish here at midnight and then I have to take an hour to chill out before bed, so that's a quick night. So I have a little more rest tomorrow too. That's all I'm getting at, Lone Wolf. Chad says, very nice to, very nice. I have been looking for one. All right. So this, let's get back to this here. This Umnumzan, such a great knife. What? I lived in Portsmouth. Love the Tanto, says Shredder Knives. Yeah. Okay. So, I've been wanting one of these for a long time. Blade Freak showed it to me. Jamie Taylor, good to have you here. I'm pumped to be here for my first time. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, sir. We're just doing a pocket check right here. I'm going to show off the knives I was carrying today, and then you're going to all tell me. Or if you have the gumption, go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/join and just aim the camera at you and show me in person. It's that simple. So yes, I got this from Blade Freak. Gave me a really nice deal on it. He bought this on the secondary. Caleb, great to have you here, sir. He bought this on the secondary and fixed that. Yeah, I agree. It's perfect. He fixed the edge. I think it came to him all jacked up. He put a screaming and beautiful edge on this knife, and it had all sorts of snail trails on it, which I certainly don't mind at all. I mean, I just put them on there myself. So it came with the snail trails, and I love this thing. I've been kind of appreciating the classics lately. I was carrying my Sebenza a lot for a while, and I was carrying this for a while, and this for a while. And when I say for a while, I mean for days in a row. Usually my attention span will not suffer a knife more than 2 days at most. And when I say suffer, I'm joking about that. But But lately I've been on this kick where I'm like, oh, I'm just going to carry this classic because it's so awesome for days and days. And so this Zahn is not, is no exception. And something that's really cool about that thumb ramp is amazing. Which thumb ramp? Let's see. Oh, yeah. I love how it stands proud like that. So the big, the USP, the unique selling proposition of the Zahn, as far as I see it, is the ceramic detent. So there's a ceramic ball detent, and it's perched. So when I do a close-up video of this, it'll be easier to see. But there is a ceramic ball perched right on the corner of this lock bar, and it acts not only as a detent to hold the blade in, but also it is the interface between the blade steel and the lock bar. So the lock bar is not touching, it's touching ceramic. Ceramic is very hard, and I guess it's brittle, but they've figured out a way not in this case for it to be an issue. I'm not exactly sure. I'm no engineer. But it ends up having a different feel and sound and everything. Like when you flick open a Sebenza, here, let me do it here in front of the mic because it's all about the sound. You can hear that click, but here you hear, oh, well, gee, that was extra loud. Sorry. That was a robust opening, but usually it's a very soft sounding open, and it's kind of a nice thing. Not that I mind the more clicky sound, but anyway, I've been really loving this. I thought that this sort of occlusion here in the this lock bar sitting proud there was going to be a problem ergonomically. Not at all. I thought that the clip being right at the edge was going to be a problem ergonomically. Not at all for my hands. Bigger hands, smaller hands, I'm not sure if it affects, but love this. And I love that cross hatching. How cool is that? You got a nice thumb swale if you want your thumb to ride way up high. Otherwise, you got this, classic Chris Reeve jimping here. And I'm just loving this knife. He also sent it with the thingy fob that it came with the little bead and everything. And I might swap it out, but for now, I'm loving it how it is. So really, really digging this knife and seeing why it's such a classic. We do not suffer knives lightly. Yes, nor fools. All right. Second in my carry today, Sean M says, loved your review on the Finch knives Devil Finger. I had to get myself one. Man, I love that knife. That's what this community is all about. No such thing as copycats, just those testing the waters for us to jump in. No doubt. I'm not sure. I don't care who you are. You're standing on the shoulders of giants. It's like, man, even though I have differing tastes from the guys I really, really love and respect. Many of you are here. Hello, NAF Sergeant. Great to see you here, sir. But I might not have the same taste, but if there is a knife I like and someone that I do like and respect who reviews knives likes it, then to me, that's, I don't want to say permission. That's not the word. That's like, that gives me the green light. Yes, this is a good investment because so-and-so said it is, and I will get it. So yes, I agree with you, sir. Next in my pocket today was this antique Camco jackknife. Camco was a what do you call it? Like a sub company, subsidiary. I'm not sure if that's the right word for Camillus. Back in the day, I think this was made in the 1960s. My brother got it for me for my birthday. He found it in an antique store. I cleaned it up as much as I could / wanted to, and put a razor sharp edge on both of these blades, which happened quite quickly. And I've been carrying this a lot. I really like this knife. It had a big chip right at the tip that I just ground out. I didn't grind it out. I swiped it out using my the diamond stones on my sharp maker. And this thing is razor sharp. Great little knife. Haven't had to use it yet, honestly, but I love it. And check out this walk and talk after after 50, 60 years. It's got great walk and talk. Here, you can hear it here. Just gratifying. So that, and then one more knife, and this is the only knife I legitimately used today. And I had to do a little bit of research on it because this is an everyday carry, not in that I have it in my pocket, but I keep it in one of the small pockets that readily accessible on my backpack, and that's my EDC bag. And my brother gave this to me when I bought a bass guitar from him, a Fender Precision bass from him. He had this in there, the Swiss Army knife. And I was like, oh, Vic, you forgot your Swiss Army knife. He's like, that's for you, brother. And I was like, I love you. So this is a branded Swiss Army knife. And I think it says Bailiff here. But anyway, this is a Mountaineer, and it's a pre-1991 Mountaineer. And I found this out by going to a really cool website called SAC Wiki. And SAC Wiki, Swiss Army Knife Wiki, has information on every freaking Swiss Army knife you've ever wanted information on. And I had been having a very hard time finding out and identifying what this model is. I went to I went to Blade HQ, I went to Smoky Mountain Knife Works and Knife Center, and I didn't find anything with this exact tool set. So I finally end up going to SAC Wiki and find out that this is a pre-1991 Mountaineer. And after 1991, here, let me do this. After 1991, any one of these Swiss Army knives that had scissors had on the opposite side of the spring, has one of those utility hooks that you use for, I don't know, but there's a whole list of things that you can use that little utility hook for on the bottom side on SAC Wiki. Some of those include carrying grocery bags or pulling tarps taut, or grabbing string and lacing and that kind of thing. I always kind of wondered what that little hook was for. But anyway, if it doesn't have the hook on the opposite side of the scissors, it's pre-1991. So I was pretty interested to find that out. This is a 30-plus year old Swiss Army knife. And man, it's like a spring chicken. It really, it's a great knife. I mean, when I got it, all I had to do was buy new toothpicks and sharpen the blades. And not when I got it, not when I bought it, when I got it. I just had to sharpen it, get a new toothpick in there, because I love my brother, but not that much. And this thing has been riding around in my backpack for a year now, and it's awesome. It comes in handy a lot. So today I use this because at work, my go-to lunch is a Greek salad, and then I just open up a can of tuna and plop it on top, and I have my own oil and vinegar. I'm fussy about my oil and vinegar. I have that at work locked up because I don't want anyone taking my oil and vinegar. And I dress my salad, and it's just so, and I love it. But today, it turns out I walk into the employee kitchen, and lo and behold, the can opener is gone. So I was like, fine, awesome. No can opener. I have a solution. So I just went and I opened up the can opener here. Took me a minute, and I went around the periphery of the can, opened it up, and ate. I nourished myself and did not die, and here I am because of that Swiss Army knife. So great tools on this thing. I was ready for a lot of different cutting chores here, but really, this was the one that came into play. Caleb loves SAC Wiki. SAC Wiki is great. I mean, I don't know. How did I not know about this? Alex, how you doing, man? Great to have you here. Alex showed a beautiful, he had a nice shot with I think it was a Holt Spectre, but I couldn't take my eyes off of that gorgeous Hamilton he had on his wrist today. Alex has not only fine taste in knives, but also really nice taste in watches. So awesome to have you here, Alex. I hope you are doing well, and hope life is treating you well. Good to see you, sir. Andrew, great to have Andrew Bentley here. Everyone loves the classics, even the new junkies like myself. Hey, man, yeah, once you're a junkie, time ceases to exist. Caleb says, your life was basically saved by that. Basically, I mean, I could have starved right there. And yes, I like that. That Swiss Army knife saved my life. James, great to have you here, as always. President Merkin Muffley with us tonight. Dave says, how uncivilized. No pull tab on that can of tuna. I know. I got an 8-pack at Wegmans, And I think when they pack the 8-packs, they're like, we're not putting tabs on all of these cans. Jeez, who do we think we are? So yeah, uncivilized and uncouth. But I got in there. So really, this is definitely the most valuable knife I had with me today because it nourished me. It fed me. You said, feed me, Jack, and I fed you. What movie is that line from? You said, feed me, Jack, and I fed you. I need someone to figure that out. If you can figure that out, I'll hook you up with something cool. All right. But no looking it up. No Googling that line, because that's just cheating. You don't want that on your conscience. All about albacore. Me, I'm a yellowfin guy. I like the yellowfin. But I also like the really skanky, kind of really super smelly, like the dregs. They pack it in the cans. For some reason, to me, that tastes great. James said he got a pretty special knife yesterday. Oh, he got a Snex Vision R. Wow, man. So, James, did you get that by chance? Someone who got, I mean, that drop was last week, maybe? Not a drop, but he finished those up last week, I think. Were you on that original list of people receiving that, or did you luck out and find someone who bought it and flipped it? Those things are gorgeous. I want to hear about it. Hollywood Tactical, good to see you here, sir. What was that fixed blade bedside knife? Did it have a recurve? Yes, it did, sir. This is the Off-Grid Knives Coyote backcountry Coyote. So this is the backcountry knife they've had around for a while. It's been in black, and they called it the blackout backcountry blackout. And so they came out with this version of it, and in doing so, improved, changed, and in my opinion, and also Shredder's opinion, improved the texture. My observation between my two specimens, my black one and this one, is that the coating on this is much better, just like much more even. As a matter of fact, on my black one, there's an area on one of the bevels that has a little tiny bit of pooling of that material, so it's darker and not like it affects anything or is any big deal. But these just seemed slightly more refined, and I think it's beautiful. I love the shape of that blade. That blade shape reminds me a little bit of a Walter Brend fixed blade, and he's always been one of my favorite, fixed blade fighting knife makers. And yeah, well, but in any case, in its own right, this is a really awesome knife. Great jimping here and here. I always thought it was more tactical than camping, but they call it the backcountry. And I know a lot of people, I think the Shredder guys, have used this in outdoor applications. Me, only wet work gets done with this. So, I'm just kidding, of course. James says, of course, I know that line. Okay. All right. I know you know that line. Okay, so check this out. Titanic? No, sir. Think of James Moore and think of his I was gonna drop some hints. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. That's right. You said feed me, Jack, and I fed you. What a great movie that is. If there's anyone out there who hasn't seen Dr. Strangelove, or maybe hasn't even seen it recently, give it a watch. It's always relevant. It had to be Titanic, said Walt. I've never even watched that movie because I can't stand DiCaprio. It wasn't. It was Dr. Strangelove. But, I mean, did you see The Revenant? Okay. All right. I am jealous of him because he has an amazing head of hair. I'll say it. I'm not so insecure that I can't admit that. Leo DiCaprio has an awesome head of hair. So I admire him for that, but I also think he's a really good actor. And in The Revenant, when he's getting hammered by a grizzly bear and crawling through the tundra, he's impressive. Give him a chance. James says Sneck's order was placed last year. He made 32 of them. I think it's really cool how he, maybe not so much on this particular knife, but I feel like knives in the past, he's really gone to great lengths to document kind of every step of the process. And I don't know much about him. I think he lives James, where does he live? In Indonesia or somewhere in Southeast Asia. And he takes his time, and he's an engineer, and he figures out really unique really unique ways to make knives, like hardware free, no screws, having them fit together. But every movie quote featuring Jack is I gotcha. Knives fast. Wow, James, congrats. Yeah, James, welcome to the DeMarco family. This is how we talk to one another. We talk in movie lines. Professor EDC, great to have you here as always, my man. Good evening, Bob, folks. Bob, Jim, hope everyone is doing well. Well, we hope you, sir, are doing well too. Walt says, I did see it. I liked it in spite of myself. Oh, okay. Well, what about Django? Django was he was pretty good in that too. I did voice work for the Revenant. You did voice work for the Revenant? That's so interesting. Tell me about it. I want to know about this. What kind of voice work? That's interesting because I thought everyone was on screen talking, but I know how complex movie making is, and especially the audio tracks. So I'm interested to find out how you what that was all about. Snex is in Malaysia. Okay, I knew he was somewhere kind of in that neighborhood. But just really cool knives. And if you are a Snex fan, but can't get in on those 32 knife releases, We Knife has made the Buster. Has done a version. I think it's a smaller, scaled down version of his Buster knife, which I really, really like the looks of. But luckily, I love it when compelling knives that cost a pretty penny, and right now, I can't just be dropping tons of money all the time. Right now, I mean, I never can, but there are times where I permit myself to. But what's my point? My point is, I love it when there are knives that are compelling, but maybe a little bit expensive, where I find fault. And not that there's any fault in the Snex Buster, except it's a personal taste issue. I'm like, I like my Wharncliffes with a little bit more of a less steep angle on the top, so I don't have to buy that one. It's a relief, it's like one of those. And well, that leads us into tonight. That will lead us into tonight's topic. One of the knives, the knife that inspired this, which I'll be getting to later, really drives that point home. Actually, before I get to that, I'm going to show you that in a minute, but I want to show you this knife. And it's by this great maker I just discovered named Jake Hoback. I'm sure no one's heard of him, but this knife has come into my possession through Blade Freak. Of course, I'm joking, but Blade Freak asked if I wanted to check out his prized Hoback Quayback, and I had never actually held one of these, and I said, yes, please do. He sent this to me because he just got himself another and really sweet Quayback, and if you follow him, Blade_Freak on Instagram, he's been posting a lot of pictures of it, and it has this on the show side scale, it's titanium, and it has this sort of crosshatch pattern, but it comes out, it radiates, in a radial pattern out from the pivot, I think. And it's just really, really sweet looking. But oh my gosh, man, this is an awesome knife. Walt says, I can drop metric tons of other people's money. So if you need any money dropped, let me know. Okay, Walt, you'll be the first I'll call. Walt, I got so much money, I don't even know what day it is. You won't be getting that call from me. Not anytime soon. I have 2 girls in private school. James says, maybe my favorite line in that film, but best taken in context. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room. Yeah. Such a great one. I mean, there are, yeah, what a great, I like, a man could have a pretty good time in Vegas with this when Slim Pickens is running down the contents of the survival kit on the B-52. Great scene. Yeah, so this Quayback is insane. It's a crew wear blade. That sort of camo pattern is anodized on there, which is extra cool. You've got a carbon fiber scale, and on the inside, I don't know if you can see this, probably not. On the inside of that carbon fiber scale, it is there are weight reduction pockets. Even though you have these big deep fullers on one side, on the inside you have little pockets where he he removed some of that extra heavy carbon fiber to make this knife even lighter. It is a shockingly light knife. Of course, on the titanium side, it has this inlay, and on the underside, it also has weight relief pockets. Blade Freak, thank you. Bryce, thank you so much for loaning this to me. I really, really love it. And part of me was like, oh, maybe he's going to try and sell it to me. And I was like, God, stop yourself, Bob. That Hoback makes me regret selling my warhorse, says Chad. Chad, why'd you do that, Chad? Come on, look at this knife. I'm just kidding. Sorry, I don't mean to make it worse. No regrets, Chad. No regrets. You can always get another one, and you probably got something cool in its stead anyway. Hollywood Tactical, still catching up. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Worry. Oh, wait, still catching up. What about it? Oh, I mentioned a line from the movie, and James Moore got it like that because he is a Dr. Strangelove lover. And so that's where we're at with that. Sorry for ending that sentence in a preposition, or that phrase. Walt says, I just heard of Hoback a couple of weeks ago, looking through new releases on White Mountain. I think, been wondering about them. So Jake Hoback has been around for quite a while. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he emerged on the scene maybe not too long after Hinderer became really popular. Maybe a few years after that, but he's been around for a while. And the Quayback, this model here, was his huge breakout model, but he's got others. He's got plenty of cool other things. I really like, what's the one? I always forget the name of the one that I really like that doesn't look anything like this that I saw at Blade Show. Can't remember. Someone can help me. They hired a handful of Native American actors and drove us to Skywalker Ranch. How cool. To do various wild lines such as war cries, random conversation, yelling, fighting, etc. It was quite cool. That is really cool. So you were a voice extra, and that was due to your Native American heritage. That is really awesome. What a great movie that was. My God, that's one of the ones I always stop on when it's on cable, and it seems to be on cable perpetually. Dr. Strangelove is the only comedy to make a top 10 American movies list. Oh, I did not know that. Look at that little battle axe in the clip. Oh, I really like this. Now, the one thing I would do if I got to redesign this is I would just remove that peak a little, just so that you could hook your thumb. But that's a taste issue. This thing is an incredible knife. And thank you so much, Blade Freak, for letting me check this out. He's encouraging me to carry it, just as Jake encouraged me to carry the Avant. And finally I did once he told me to. I don't know why I have a hard time doing that, but I'm like, I don't know if I can replace these things. If something happens and somehow the clip snags on something, it pulls the knife out, and I don't hear it hit the ground or whatever. So oftentimes, most of the time, like pretty much all the time, I take loaners happily, but they live right here in this room, and I lock them up with my knives because I'm like, not that we have knife thieves in my neighborhood, knock on wood. But, in my mind, I'm like, oh, boy, someone breaks into the house. They're going to beeline it for this room and find my knives. Like, that's what they want to do. Is it the Hoback Husky? No, the Hoback Husky, Nick, looks a lot like this, but it's a lot thicker. I'm thinking of a different knife. It's got a totally different shape, right? Or are you correct? Am I missing it? Am I messing it? I might be messing it up. Really neat looking thing. It's got kind of a more of a bellied Warncliffe kind of style blade with it's just a lot different. He didn't say Vegas in the original script. After the assassination of Kennedy, they changed it from Dallas to Vegas. How interesting. Watch closely. You can see his lips. Oh, no kidding. That's cool. I got to tell my brother that because he loves that movie. And I think he probably, I had a high school history teacher who got me into that movie, got my brother into that movie as well. But that's cool. In Dallas, but of course, that's where Kennedy was assassinated. So they changed that. That's cool. And actually, in as time goes on, Vegas makes more sense anyway. But Dallas for his character maybe makes more sense. Who knows? Walt says, They will go straight for the swords on the wall and have no room to carry anything else. That's true. That's true. They will. And they'll look at they'll look at it and be like, it's just a tool chest. I already got screwdrivers. Hey, man, Brent, good to see you here. Brent just took a trip to the Hinderer factory that he was posting, I believe, right? Am I right? That was just a recent trip. He posted a bunch of pictures. Bob, you like my name? LOL. It suits me. LOL. Yeah. Hey, man, whatever you got to do to sleep at night, dude. Hollywood Tactical says, James Moore, how cool. Love to learn more tidbits about great films. Yeah, that is a cool tidbit. Perfect word for it. Refreshing. So, okay. This is the part where I swallow my words. And this is how we're going to lead. This is going to lead to a smooth segue into the I didn't think I'd like it, but ... subject of the evening. And that is this. And it comes courtesy, it's a loan that comes courtesy of Dave, This Old Sword Blade Reviews. Yes, you guessed it. The Elementum, a knife I've been kind of bitching and moaning about recently, only because they have the Civivi has the Boker Quaken affliction with this, and they keep coming out with just version after version after version of this knife, and no wonder it's their best-selling knife. So why not make as much money as possible? And yes, I get it. We said Hoback too many times, and Brant appeared. Yes. That's funny. Brant and Rick got rehitched. That's right. It was like, Rick, man, I'm sorry. It just happened, I didn't mean it to. It just happened. And so I've been carrying Hobacks. I love the scales on that Elementum. Yeah, let's look at this thing. It's this blue shred carbon fiber. It is gorgeous. You know me, I'm always dishing on carbon fiber, but this is gorgeous. And let's look at this handle while we're here. I like how those liners sit just proud of the carbon fiber. Some people that sticks in their craw. I'm not sure I've heard any complaints about that on this model in particular, but I love that. And then you have the Civivi thing here. This is a large, so it's like 3.5 inches. I don't know what they call it. I think this is called a large or an XL maybe. But look at that. I mean, this Damascus blade, I'm not sure of its origins, but I think it's beautiful. I think it is beautiful. And the shape of that blade is so utilitarian and really nice. I got to say, pictures do not do it justice. 0.0 me and Rick are good buds. All right. Well, we know. We're just teasing, man. Great blade shape. Ash, how you doing? Good to have you here. Talking about this Elementum, Ash. Do you have one of these? I've been complaining about them recently, but here's this one in my hand, and I absolutely love it. Chad, I want to make a spring kit for button lock Elementum to make it auto. Oh, that's a good idea. All right, so I really like the way this feels in hand. I really like that blade. I think the Damascus is beautiful. I also think the carbon fiber is beautiful. This is a case where two different patterns next to each other don't look bad. Sometimes you see someone, I call it Mr. Furley issues. You see someone who's got a leisure suit that's, brown plaid, and then they have like a yellow plaid shirt on, and then an ascot in orange and stuff. And it's like all these clashing. Well, that's what a lot of custom knives look like to me. They take all these beautiful, complex materials, and instead of just highlighting that material, having everything else be somewhat plain, they put them all in there. And I'm not complaining. This is first world issues, of course. And then maybe all of the beauty is diffused instead of highlighting one little boom. Look at this blade. Look at the blade. And don't worry so much about the handle. But this is one of those spots where two of them, look, I gotta switch hands to open it. That's my issue with this knife, is that I love the button lock. It works great. It sticks in my craw ever so slightly, that there's no other way to open it than with the lock. Something about that, because I have to find some fault with it. But I gotta say, Thank you, Dave. I think Dave was getting tired of hearing me complain about the Elementum, and he's like, here, just take this. Wait. Go. I'm sorry, Jim, go back. Go back to that Knives Fast comment. Love the way it feels in hand. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Love the way it feels in hand. I think that hat is supposed to be but the lock to lock action. Stupid gravity knife. That's kind of like, I would love to see this with a flipper, front flipper, any other, or thumb studs. Give me some thumb studs. But all of that is pick and nits. 9CR or VG10. I have no idea. I mean, I'm assuming since it's I don't know. I have no idea. Stainless Damascus. Let me put Jamie on it. This old sword, Dave says, you're showing it gives me new appreciation for my blade. I mean, Dave, this thing is awesome. Thank you for sending it my way. I feel like now I can put this subject to rest. You know how I feel about it, but I have to say, it's really good. This one is really good. Really like button locks. Wish they made more of them. I'm with you, man. Men, I agree. It's like, it seems like a very strong lock too. The button lock just inherently seems like a strong lock. Snuz says, I'm glad a lot of folks like the Elementum. For me, it's just a bit, I'll say it, boring. I'm with you, Snuz. Those scales are great looking. Don't get me wrong. It's the shape of the knife. I couldn't agree with you more. And then I got this damn thing in hand. And you know what? I always assumed it was smaller, though. Like I said, I think this is a larger version of the usual. I always thought it was smaller, and something about the way I'm going to get superficial here, the flipper looks, I don't like. But having it without a flipper here is fine. I love the button lock, but yeah, I do wish this had thumb studs, just so you could have a secondary form of gratification. Really, that's all it's about. Walt says, the only reason I don't have a button lock is that I'd like a secondary. Thank you, Walt. Thank you. That's what I am saying right here. That's how I feel about it. Though having this in hand, and then I was on Blade HQ today and saw that they have a red carbon fiber version of this now, so that it's not all red, but like you have a little bit of blue in there. Just it's a subtle taste of blue. They have one that's got a subtle taste of red. That looks really good. And I got to say, I like that Damascus or Damascus-esque. Damasteel, I don't know what the hell it is, but I like the blade a lot. And I'm feeling like I might need a little bit more of that in my life. A pattern weld steel, I'll say. Blade Hobby says, I just don't like the button as the only option to open the Elementum. All right. So it's me, it's Walt, it's Blade. I think there's a growing contingent of people who wish there was a thumb stud on that. But before I get to this comment, how cool would it be actually to get one of these? It might actually look cool, even though it would look a little janky, but to put one of these thumb openers on it might be kind of neat. And it would give you well, I don't know. Maybe not. So Dave says, this is 9CR Damascus. Isn't that amazing what they can do these days? 9CR Damascus. Very nice. Very nice. And so thin. So freaking thin and hollow ground. Let's listen. Yeah. That sounds great. Knives Fast says, but you can't open it with a flipper or studs. It's locked open and it's locked closed. It's worthless. I see what you mean. It is locked closed. I've tried to open it like, just like this 112 here. And it does not, but I'm not going to go so far as to say it's worthless, but I will say, oh, I see what you mean. Okay. So you put one of those thumb stud things on there. It's still not going to open. You need to disengage the lock. You're right. I see. It doesn't have to be like that though. They could engineer it so that it doesn't stay locked closed, but that's interesting. Yeah. All right. So scrap that whole idea. Pretend I never pulled out this 112. Shame on you. It's going back. Hollywood says, totally agree. Not having other deployment options is a major fail, and button locks are my favorite lock types. Well, okay, okay. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate to us, to Hollywood, excuse me, to those of us who feel that it needs a secondary deployment. It was a risk. It was a risk on the part of Civivi to make a knife like this. So I do respect that. You know, all right, let's try this. Never been done. Let's try this. Except for the, I have some knives from Snap-on maybe, or I can't remember. Milwaukee. I have a knife from Milwaukee in my car. It's a carpet knife, you know, like a hooked. But the only way you can open it, it's a liner lock, but the only way you can open it is by holding a button and flipping it. But then to close it, the button doesn't come into play at all. So it's not unprecedented. And I would say this is a much more elegant, example of doing that button lock only deployment. But yeah. But all in all, I would like to own this knife. Never had an Elementum, but I had a Wee Drop Gent, which is pretty close. Backlash is still my favorite Civivi. Backlash is a cool knife. I love the shape of the blade, and I also love the size of that blade. They tend to do a lot of smaller blades. Excuse me. Chad says they designed it different than other button locks. You can tell too when you kind of look into the guts of it. I have not opened this up, and I will not. But when you look down in here, you can actually see what Chad's talking about. It won't work with thumb studs or flipper tab. It is designed like an auto. Yeah. So that's why, Chad, that's why you were saying you want to get a spring to put in there, right? Because it's kind of like already set up for that. Billy Spar. Billy, good to have you here, sir. I think the only version of the Elementum I like is the fixed blade version. Interesting. Fits the simplicity along with the reliable. That's a good point. To me, this is the Elementum is this generation's Kershaw Skyline. Those of us who've been around for a little bit while, a Fuller would be fantastic. I cannot disagree with you, sir. Those of us who've been, my first knife videos were in 2008, nothing fancy, and or 2009. I think he came out in 2008, and I was like, oh my god, videos about knives. And his favorite EDC knife, I think that man actually coined the phrase EDC because he coined a lot of acronyms. He made up a lot of acronyms in those early days, and I think he's the one who actually came up with EDC. I'm sorry, can you go back to NAF Sergeant real quick? And it was that Skyline that was his favorite knife. To me, this is this generation Skyline. NAF Sergeant says it wouldn't work because the button lock. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Dave says you guys are just having issues finding the button. Come on, man. Finding the button. Just ask, man. She'll tell you. I'm just kidding. Okay, so here it is. The Civivi. This changed my mind about the Elementum. So this is my version of I didn't think I'd like it, but ENG, good to have you here, sir. Just need to add a spring to make it an automatic. Yes. We have a lot of engineer types here. Snuznuz says they could engineer. Okay, I just said engineer, and now he said engineer. Something's in the air. I think there's some. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. They could engineer it so that it's not locked closed. Bob wants to see another. Yes, that's right. Well, if you're gonna keep doing it, why not make this button lock with yes. I see 2 more versions of the Elementum here, 3 more versions, and they are I want an inline, that's the cool new way of saying front flipper, I want a regular flipper, and a thumb stud version. So 3, I see at least 3 more Elementums. They're all button locks, and then they have to have their small and their micro versions. So 9 more versions of the Elementum, and then we're done. Next release, Civivi's Devil's Finger. Yeah. Well, Devil's Finger is coming up. Why do you don't think this looks like? Why did you say that? I'm curious. Let me know why you said that. Walt says, I don't knock it. I don't begrudge them for making it that way. God knows they've sold plenty as is. That is true. I mean, when I knock Boker and I knock Civivi for making, I mean, Could it be jealousy? Could it be that I wish I had a knife that sold like this or Boker? And yeah, maybe that's what it is, because you better believe I would come out with the Bob Knife 2000 in a million different iterations if they sold. Hollywood Tactical says it might be considered a gravity knife in some jurisdictions. That's a good point. Seems more a design oversight than rather edgy, risky design choices. Always keeping it real, Hollywood. I don't know. I think it's both. I think two things can be true at once. I think they were taking a chance in doing that, but maybe not even realizing that they were making a knife that might be limited in terms of places it could be sold in the States. Obviously, they know there are plenty of places abroad where you can't have this knife. America Junior, just up north, I'm sorry, that's what my wife used to call Canada, and I don't mean to diss Canada. I think it's beautiful, and every Canadian I've met has been cool. I'm sure there are a bunch of dicks up there too, but I know you cannot have that knife up there, and that it would be, I should say, it would be hard to get it up there. If you watch Kevin Cleary, you can hear some of the trials and tribulations of getting some of his knives into Canada. Blade Hobby says, I just saw a workaround on the Elementum button lock where they ground a little bit off the tab to allow the knife to be opened with a thumb stud without pushing the button. Man, okay. Well, that's cool. That's really cool. I was gonna make an offhanded comment, and now I'm not going to. Knives Fast says it's a gravity knife, and it's actually not legal everywhere. Yeah. Look here. Actually, the other night I was using this to cut. Sorry, Dave. I used it to cut some jute twine, and I had it at just the right angle. I wasn't trying, and I just pressed the button, and it swung open. It was so cool. James says, I'd like it I would like a front flipper button lock Elementum. I kind of would too. I think a thumb stud would be the ultimate expression here. But the cool thing about the front flippers is that when they're open, they're very clean right here. So Elementum Machete, Matt, finally, someone with a great idea about an Elementum. Yes, Elementum Machete. It would be the same sort of drop point blade. Elementum OTF. But it would be 18 inches long. Out the front, snuzz. Yeah, I think we know what we're doing. Yvonne's good to have you here, sir. I hope I pronounced your name right. I'll say Knife Addict. I know that that's right. It is simple, intuitive, and functional. Yes. Yeah, that's true. And it's flashy, and it's good looking, too. The only boring part about this particular knife, this exact one I have here, is the profile. But even that, without the flipper tab, it's pretty, you're right. It's classy and simple. This will be worth more after Civivi revises it with a flipper, You're right. Someday they'll be like, oh my gosh, we have to take this off the market, retool it and put it back out. And you'll be one of the guys lucky. Unlike the Terzuola you sold in the 80s. Oh, sorry, that was unfair. Sean says, I love my Civivi Elementum. I could see them experimenting with blade styles soon. Maybe an XL version. I mean, how about a Tanto? How about a Warncliffe? How about a Hawkbill? Hey, Redacted, good to have you here. Hi, Bob. Chat, hope everyone is well tonight. I think we're all doing pretty well. Dave, sorry, I didn't mean to. I only said that because you posted that cool Civivi fixed blade Terzuola today and told me that you had that. And I remember you mentioning that you had a Terzuola in the 80s. You got rid of it, and you've always regretted it. And I regret it for you because to me, he's way up there, and I really want one of his knives one of these days. I was underwhelmed by the Elementum, so much hype. Okay, so here's the thing, DJ. I think, well, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. But I think that the hype is, it's not, I think it leans, I think the hype is coming from people who use their knives and they're using it, and it's working, and it's doing a great job, and it's doing it with little fanfare. This one, of course, has a little bit more fanfare, if you will. But yeah, I hear you. I've always kind of been underwhelmed by the design, but really having it in hand has changed my mind. And if I were to get an Elementum, I would either get this big one with the beautiful carbon fiber and Damascene blade, or I would get the smallest one I could get, the new brass and copper and bronze. I think I can't remember if they do all three of those metals. They're very small flippers, and they're really light, shockingly light. Redacted says, I like the Elementum button lock quite a bit. I don't get the but there's no flipper furor, frankly. How hard is it to yeah, well, you got an interesting point there. You've got a pretty good point there. I actually, Redacted, I think the furor, since there is some, not furor, I think the outrage about the lack, I don't know how to pronounce that without saying furor, so I'm just going to say, I think the outrage here is that people feel hemmed in. People feel a little boxed in by having to use the lock. People with button locks like to know that they can open it with the button lock, but that's not their preferred. They don't want to be forced into anything. I don't know. Maybe not. Michael says, we got them available to buy online within within Canada. It's the border that's the problem. Okay, it's the border that's the problem. And it's probably a combination of our border and your border. And that sucks, man. Yeah, recently there has been very loose talk around the house about Toronto. And I don't know if I could do it. What am I going to do? Give all my knives to my brother? I love him dearly. He'd take great care of them. But I mean, come on. What am I going to do with my knives if we had to move? That would be something. Elementum bug out. Where's my bug out? You're right. This is kind of a bug out. So yes, right. Because they're coming out with 1 million bug outs too. Okay. So this, the bug out and the Boker Burnley Quaken. Jared, good to have you here, sir. Good evening, Bob, Jim, everyone. Note the mini Elementum just dropped. What about the Elementum Air? Has that come out yet? What about the I Elementum or the E Elementum? It's just electronic. It's a non-fungible token, and you get to buy it for $100 and watch it be opened on your computer. Shane says, sorry I'm so late. Shane, welcome. It's good to have you here, man, as always. Let's see. Knives Fast says, they made me dislike one more with the Kai V. All right. Please explain. I'm feeling dopey that I don't get that. I'd buy an Elementum Hawkbill. Yeah. You and no one else. No, you and me, Snuzz. I think everyone else would just feel better with this blade. Well, it's cool. It has changed my mind about the Elementum. I thought I wouldn't like it, but I do. I have to admit, I purchased the Off-Grid Knives Backcountry Blackout after watching your show a while back. Well, thank you. I'm glad I was able to steer you in the direction. I hope you like that knife. That knife for me, sometimes, and I think they remedied this in the Coyote version, though the dimensions have not changed at all. The handle always feels just slightly big, but somehow with this one, with the Coyote, it feels just right. Excuse me. DJ says Civivi has powerful internet marketing. They got the Elementum on the top of a lot of top 10 lists, but it's not because there's something special about the knife, in my opinion. So are you suggesting that it's only because they have a powerful marketing department, or do you think it's because it's not special that it succeeded? Like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's really good at being a plain old knife that does its purpose. Let me know. This old sword, Dave says, I will put it this way. The word Civivi in your YouTube vid keywords and you'll triple your views. Huh. Good point. All right. I will start my order now. Send them all. Shane says, I think we're all starting to expect a bit much out of a folding cutting tool. First world problems. For sure. I mean, Shane, that is the whole basis of this show. It is all first world problems, man. And first world loves. These are luxury items. This I don't know how much it cost originally. I know how much I paid for it, but this knife is not necessary. And I have so much unnecessary stuff around me that if I think this way, it just might make me sick. But I see what you're saying. They are first world problems. We do expect a lot, but that's what enthusiast markets do. You know, that's what enthusiast communities do. And I partially think that that's what helps makers refine their work. They're like, my God, these people are such pains in the asses. Where they want a button lock, we give them a button lock. Now it's not right enough button lock, you know? So I do see what you're saying. Stooley J says the Elementum is a simple, no-nonsense EDC knife. It's plain by design. It's very inoffensive and accessible to many knife people and maybe even non-knife people. I would agree with you on that for sure. The button lock isn't for them, but the standard flipper version certainly is. Or wait, do they have a straight thumb stud version? Because I could also see that being good for the non-knife person. The Invisi Elementum is next. Yes. I have it right here. Michael says, it's our border guards, Bob, not yours. They interpret the law the way, people intoxicated with their petty power. Drive me nuts, man. Drives me absolutely nuts. Sean says, what about the Civivi multi-tool with spork? I don't know about this multi-tool with spork. LOL. I got you. I'd be down. It sounds like a hobo knife, the Civivi hobo knife. Can you imagine? Okay, there's such a thing called a hobo knife. It's the kind that breaks apart. It has the fork and the spoon and the knife on it. Case makes one. But could you imagine, in today's parlance, that would be called the homeless knife. And I don't think that knife would sell. I'm sorry. I missed what Ian said. Fully serrated Elementum dagger. Okay, now you're talking my language. You just have to make the handle wider so it could accommodate that. It's a new Civivi that is tiny call. Oh, the Kai V and Ostap Hell. Oh, that one. Not a fan. I am not a fan of that either. I do love Ostap Hell's design, and he was a very nice guy to talk to. But that last one, I know which one you're talking about. It's like a little tiny wedgy sort of Kiridashi kind of looking or Tanto kind of looking thing. I don't like it either. It's just a little too diminutive. DJ says, I just think there are a lot of similar knives that could have been the Elementum. Yeah, right under that same shingle. There are a lot of Civivis that are kind of Elementum-esque. Hey, Kraken, great to see you, man. I love those giant recurves you posted today. You're cranking out some really cool knives. Hey, guys, he says. Dave says, great idea for a channel. Unnecessary stuff recovery group. Yes, indeed. Unnecessary stuff abounds. Shane says, imagine if Hogue got the attention and marketing that Civivi did. Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, Hogue is so well deserving. And they have a lot of really, really cool models. So yeah, I think I think Hogue has gotten quite a bit of attention. I don't know about their marketing, but I think they've gotten a lot of attention. People are down with the Hogue. Walt says the Hobo Civivi would be called the Itinerant. Yes, it would. That's exactly. The Itinerant. That actually sounds like they already have one called that out there, but I don't know, maybe not. So what about you guys? What did you think you weren't going to like, but then you got it in hand? You're like, oh, damn. Actually, I really dig this. Let me know. And as you muster this up and start typing, I want to show you a couple of things in knife news knife life news that caught my eye. So start typing. I want to hear about Hogue knives are so underrated, criminally so. They're not that underrated, redacted. They might not have the reach of a Benchmade, but I think people recognize them as maybe superior or on that level and a major player. I don't know. I think they're getting the recognition. I think it's a, but it also might be a numbers thing. Civivi is obviously a huge outfit. Hogue button locks rule. Solid. Yeah. Dave has been carrying around a Hogue a lot recently. I know. The wee banter, Bob. I thought I'd hate it, and I love it so much. That's cool. Okay, so we gave away a wee banter here on a Gentleman Junkie giveaway, I don't know, a while back. And yeah, I opened it up, just to make sure it was, the quality control it. And yeah, that is a sweet little knife. I still don't think I'd like the mini version of that with the choil and all that, but the wee banter, I'm with you on that. That is a cool one. Hollywood Tactical, unpopular opinion. I bought an armload of M-Tech button locks for sub 12 to 15, and their action is quite good for the most part. Okay, so that's kind of like getting a whole bunch of Rough Riders. They're good for a fix. They're good for a quick fix. They're actually, they're quite good. They're well made. They're good knives. Certainly for any of my purposes, they're good knives. But you can get them for cheap, and they don't tick all the boxes. But yeah, I hear that. Every Isham I've ever handled, they look weird but feel and work so well, says Shane. I believe you. Though some of the Arrakis, to me, I'm like, no, that look was not what I mean. I look at that and I'm like, wow, that is really cool design, incredible engineering. Like, I think of a lot of things before I think of carrying it and using it. I absolutely recognize Isham. He's a great designer. The Civivi bow in marbled carbon fiber with red. Civivi bow. What's the bow? I don't know if I've in marbled carbon fiber with red. Huh. The bow. I'll have to look that up. Not a fan of the baby banter. Me neither. The banter is already kind of a baby. It's already kind of a small little knife. What about this Civivi Badlands Vagabond? Oh, I know what you're talking about. Didn't think we would like it, but ended up really loving it. So the Badlands Vagabond, is that the locking version of the Badlands? Right? I think I'm thinking of the right knife. I dig those Civivis, like the I can't remember the gent, and then the what the hell is it? The rustic gent. Isn't the Badlands Vagabond kind of like the rustic gent, like sort of more of an old school knife? Hated my first cold steel, and definitely not into backlocks still, but now I'm practically a fanboy. Good man. I know. They're hard to resist. My brother and I used to call it mall chick appeal. I know it's not very it's not a very enlightened way of looking at things, but this was in the 80s, and my brother and I were stupid teenagers, or I was a preteen, and it was like mall chick appeal was like someone, not necessarily someone you want to bring home to mother, but someone that's still appealing, Billy Spar says, Billy, good to have you here, Billy. Spyderco shaman for me as of late. I didn't think I'd like it because I'm a PM2 guy at heart. Okay. But there are some of the same ingredients, even though it's a very different knife. I do like the shaman, though I've never owned one myself. I would like the one with the natural micarta, though. Walt says, I didn't think I'd like the Formax Scout as much as I do, but it makes me a little giddy. That thing is a cool knife. Jimmy Slash sent me one. Jimmy Slash, I'm not sure if you're aware of he's got such a vast collection, and he's got a lot of doubles. He's got every single Formax that's ever been, every iteration of that knife, and there are more than you might think. And then he's got just a million knives. And after our conversation, I told him I wanted to get a Formax Scout. He's like, wait, I got one for you. And he sent it to me. And I'm ever grateful for it. And I love it. Excuse me. And yeah, you're right. It's ridiculously thick and robust. What a cool knife. Excuse me. Beer. Michael Morgan says, my second Hogue should be here soon. Full-size Ritter Hogue in 20 CV and purple G Mascus. Awesome. I have the purple G Mascus, the mini version of it. And I love it, man. I love it. I tend more towards the mini versions of certain knives that and that's one of them. Herms, good to have you here. The Koenig Arius. Yeah. I thought it was ugly and bulbous, but once I got it in hand, the ergos, the action, and the opening methods work great. That's funny that you say that, because I always kind of felt that way until I got one in hand in June at Blade Show, and I was like, oh, okay. And I felt compelled to tell the people behind the counter how great their product was after like hearing that for 36 hours. I'm like, hey guys, nice knife. Oh, yeah, no shit. But that Koenig Arius, wow. And then also just the blade of that thing. I don't really, still really don't care for the looks so much, but the way it feels, and then you feel the blade and how thin it is and how hollow ground it is a outstanding knife. One I thought I wouldn't like, but do, is the SRM line of folders. Great work at a low price for what you get. Full range, 20 to 100, and worth it. So SRM, that's the San Renmu, the new San Renmu line, I think, right? I did a video on a clip point, a very attractive clip point that I got in one of the pass around groups here, and I liked it a lot, except to get the action I wanted on it. Easy flipping and retracting, because it had an axis-oid lock on it. I had to loosen the pivot, and then it got wobbly, and it wasn't my knife, and I didn't want to fiddle too much with it. But yeah, interesting. Moon Pirate says, I didn't think I would like the Boker USB. It's pretty awesome though, a novelty, but I like it. Boker USB. I don't know which one that is, Moon Pirate. But I've been digging the Bokers lately, and you'll see why in just a minute. Wink, wink. Know what I mean, Dave? James Moore says, check out the discontinued M9 customs from Rod Olson, like a custom button lock Elementum with a flipper. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I will note that. Okay, the bow is a Brad Zinker design. I like his Urban Trapper. Very small, which I'm not into small knives, but this one is really sweet. So as these are coming in, let me show you. Let me show off a couple of cool new knives. The Finch 1929 looked too small for me, but wanted to try it for the clip point blade shape. Now I love it. Isn't it awesome? That's an addictive little knife. As is this, also from Finch. This is the Finch Knives Devil's Finger, and I know a lot of us got these in red, and this one was sent to me by Finch. Thank you guys. I absolutely love this thing. It's got all of the Finch hallmarks, including that awesome shield. This has really nice micarta, as you can see, red canvas micarta. It's got a beautiful 154 cm blade that's 3 inches long, saber ground, and just beautiful. It's got that low profile flipper tab by Finch that I really like because it not only does not protrude much from the dorsal side, but when it's open, it's jimped and long and flat, and it acts as sort of like an inverse choil. Instead of going inward, it comes out, and you can grip onto it, and this jimping is quite effective and use it. I really, really dig this knife without sacrificing any of the cutting edge with a choil. Really cool knife. What do you guys think of this? I know a lot of us have gotten this one. Such a beautiful knife. It also comes in kind of a British racing green with a black blade. Oh, so nice looking. So nice looking. I've got a little budding collection of Finch knives, and I really dig them. So this is one that came in this week. I got this right before Thursday Night Knives last week, and I was like, I'll save this for next week because I didn't want to change my production plan, and plus got to spread this out. I'm not in as acquisitive mode right now, but luckily I have good friends like Dave who are loaning me cool knives, and I'll get to those. But before I get to the cool knives that Dave has loaned me, I want to show the cool knife that Dave gifted me. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Thank you. I saw this. I saw that you bought this and the micarta version, and I was like, wow, for the first time ever, I think I like the non-micarta version of this knife, and that is the Becker Bk40. This thing is so damn cool. It's designed by none other than Chuck Gudritis. Chuck has been on this show. You know Chuck, he does these incredible, he does a wide variety of knives, mostly folders, a lot of them automatics, some of them sculptural art knives, like his marlin knife. It looks just like a marlin fish, and then the bill pops out and it's the blade. Incredible. I saw that. Got to handle that at Blade Show. His bird of prey knife. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But then he also does rather sober regular knives too. And this is his design. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm a big fan of the original Smatchet, designed by, I think, Colonel Applegate or Rex Applegate, and maybe Fairbairn. I don't remember, but I know Rex Applegate had a big part in designing, if not exclusive in designing the Smatchet. And the Smatchet is a fixed blade knife with about a 13-inch blade, I think, or 12-inch blade that is shaped like this. It widens out. It's leaf shaped. It's symmetrical. Widens out a bit. Sharp on both sides. Just a nasty weapon and a hell of a tool too. I know it was kind of meant for both purposes, but definitely meant for dispatching the enemy. And I think this is a really, really nice interpretation of that knife in a folding, liner lock, without it looking too much like it's trying to, hit all the marks. But Dave is a observant guy. Or maybe it was all the drooling I did, but he gave me his wooden version of it. And this is like one of the rare cases where I think the wooden version is more beautiful and more compelling than the micarta. Not that I wouldn't love the micarta too, but this thing is awesome. And I've been carrying it around with me. This hasn't been my primary knife, but it's been on me every moment since I've gotten it. So it may as well be, like this. This knife is it's beautiful. VG10 liner lock. I think that's, what is that? Cocobolo? I don't know what kind of wood that is. Flips open insanely nicely. Has this the fullering on the handles. Got a beautiful sculpted clip there with a little bit of fluting in it too, to sort of echo the fluting here on the handle. Beautiful shaped blade, 4-inch, full-on 4-inch blade. And I got to say, this is one that I really liked in pictures and loved in videos. But now that I have it in hand, it's even better. It's even better. I mean, it's even more beautiful in real life than I find it in pictures and videos. So thank you, Dave, from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate your generosity, not just in this gift, but in all the gifting you've done to this channel for giveaway knives, etc. I really appreciate it. Ian says, I don't make a habit of purchasing knives I don't think I'll like, but recently purchased a Medford Slim Midi and was terrified I'd hate it. Turns out I love it. That Slim Midi is a sweet knife. I love that knife. It's, my Slim Midi, when it broke in, it became super smooth. And I just, I respect Medford knives more than I actually like them, but I do like them. Shane says, I don't know if Isham does it on purpose, but that weird shape creates enhanced leverage. Oh, interesting. At least for me. Shane, I'm wondering if it's the angle of the handle to the blade. I wonder, because sometimes they have that more sort of a pistol grip shape. Snuzz says, I didn't think I'd like Victorinox Classic SD, but I would thought I would hate the tiny little magical tool of fantastic. Love the little things. They come in so handy. It's true. I have a Classic on my keychain for my work keys, and that thing comes in handy. You know, if I have to go into a meeting with my boss, I always use the toothpick, you know, like make sure I don't have anything green stuck in my teeth. And that thing does come in handy in all little ways all the time. I love the Badlands Vagabond. It's the thumb stud version of the Odium. Okay. I love both. Odium. I like the name. Sean says, I got the K-Bar Becker Bk40. That looks like a cool knife folder because I collect Becker knives. That's a cool collection to have. I could tell this knife was made with no passion or concept in mind. Really? But I can't put it down because I know I can rough it up. That's interesting that you say that. I thought it really did have a concept. I thought it was, went for that audaciously wide and rounded handle because it was trying to emulate as much as possible in a folder the fixed bladed versions. I gotta say that Becker, the Bk40, the blade to me looks so appealing, but I haven't gotten one, and I would like to get one, but I just haven't. I'm liking the new Case Marilla. Ooh, is that their new frame lock or liner lock? Lone Wolf. Ketmuk says, I wasn't sure about the Eldris, but it is my true EDC. My folders and belt knives rotate. The Eldris is there every day, says Ketmuk. Ketmuk is a bit of an outdoorsman, and it doesn't surprise me that he has an Eldris on him all the time because that's like the outdoorsman's Victorinox Classic. It's like a tiny little do-everything knife. James Moore says, I was surprised how much I like the Olamic Busker, only with the Largo blade. Which one is the Largo blade? Once I got a good regrind. Actually, it fits my hand okay, despite being tiny. Now, regrind, that's interesting. That's like a $700 knife. It's the same thing. It's like the regrind I got on my, it's like sometimes you just need to do that. But the Busker, I really liked too, because I'm not a big fan of Olamic so much. I like their big folders. But the Busker and something else that's small, I wasn't crazy fan of. And then Alex of the Knife Box channel sent me one, and man alive, is that a nice knife in hand, and it just seems like it'd be a great user. Albeit a luxury user, but excuse me, I hear you. God, so sorry. James, I'm sorry, Redacted says, knife that I thought I would hate until I got it in hand and ended up buying my own was the Cold Steel Lucky. Just a simple modern slip joint, one of my favorites. I've always been interested in the Lucky, right? That is the Lucky is like a moose pattern. It's got two full-size blades coming out from either side, and one of them is serrated, and I think that's cool. I think that is a great concept for a slip joint knife, because a slip joint knife is like the kind of small thing you drop in your pocket for small chores. And if you get a multi-bladed slip joint, I think it's great to have a variety of utility. Like for instance, in this one, I have the big clip point blade, and then I have the tiny little scalpel like pen blade. In the Lucky, you got the serrated and you got the straight edge. And I think that that's a cool way to do it. If you're going to pack two blades into a frame, why not give yourself the greatest amount of utility that you can? Oh, redacted. The Lucky one-bladed version, that is. Okay. I still think it's a cool knife, but I stand by what I said. Knives Fast says, good show, Bob. Got to get some sleep later on. Knives Fast, great to have you here, man. Thanks for checking in. And, well, let's keep up the conversation next week. And you might want to check back in. I have a couple of other cool knives I'm going to show tonight. Billy says, definitely. I actually thought the Shaman was an older design because it looks like something that Spyderco has been making forever. It does. It does. What is it? It's kind of native. It kind of looks like a native. The Tangram Santa Fe surprised me. That is, yeah, pretty nice knife for $25. Great handle, slicey blade. Awesome action. The Tangram Santa Fe is probably among my very favorite budget knives, and it's one of the few knives from that era when I bought that I have kept, and I love that thing. I bought my brother one too. He loves his too. The Vagabond, but I'm always like, where'd you go, Tangram? you were knocking it out of the park with this, and they had that button lock that was pretty cool. They had some cool knives, and then they ceased. They halted that. I don't know why. That was a Kaiser subsidiary or satellite company or whatever, Offspring. Shredder Knife Review says the Badlands Vagabond is a simple liner lock with thumb stud and a flipper. We like the ergos in the Vagabond better than our Backlash and Brazen. It's slightly smaller than the Backlash and the Brazen. Okay, I got to look it up. Give me 2 seconds. V Vagabond. Oh yeah, that's nice. And it's got sort of a neutral, rounded off at the back handle and the full faux bolster. I like that. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Nice. Well, here's another Civivi, and this is also a loaner from Dave. James Moore says, Sharp by Design Evo Typhoon, made by Riot, compares surprisingly well to many customs. James, I hear you, man. I mean, I've had a number of Riots come through my hands, and I own a couple of them, and I'm always, man, it never ceases to amaze me, the knives they make. But it's interesting to hear from a custom collector that, to you, the Riot knives, feel that good in hand. And you mentioned the Sharp by Design Evo Typhoon, but I have to believe that they put that same energy into everything, because the knives I've experienced by them are just awesome. Andrew, I picked up the Finch Holiday. Great knife, Andrew. Great knife. Matt says, got the Harns Wolverine, and I didn't think I would like the finger grooves in hand, but it fits perfectly. Only ever experienced one Harns, thanks to Dave, and we gave that one away during the birthday bash. And man, that knife, the Harvest, way above its $40 price point in terms of quality. Probably one of the definitely one of the smoothest knives I've ever deployed and then retracted, but probably the most fall shutty knife I've ever experienced. I hated the grossly overrated bug out. Chintzy, too flexible, overpriced for the materials, but later came to enjoy its action, fit and finish, and lightness. I EDC it whenever I leave my with my PJ pants. Hollywood, please don't go out in your PJ pants. Walt, thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, thank you, people. Unless you're a commie, which I know you're not, please hit the like button. I love it. Better dead than red. Remember that? Is anyone old enough to remember that? Thank you, Walt. I appreciate it greatly. And Tactical, you wear whatever you want, brother. You do you. I'm not criticizing. But yes, the bug out is the perfect PJ pants knife. Thanks again, Walt, for that $5 super chat. I really appreciate it, as I know Jim does. And I also like your commie comment. Quick, click the link. Yes, that's right. Click it. So we have a couple of affiliate links I'll mention next time. I just have to get my ducks in a row. They're about to all come. That Smatch It is only $100. Wow, I can't think of another way to have that much fun for $100 that's legal in 48 states. Agreed. Yes, this is a fantastic legal way to spend $100. Man, I'm shocked. Actually, I didn't look up the price of this, but I'm shocked that this is only $100. It is primo. Everything about this knife feels primo. I love it. And now I think it's my fourth Boker. I think it's my fourth Boker. And I have a little growing collection. There are others I want. I want the JB Stout dagger that just came out. There are others I want, but Hollywood Tactical, I thought I'd hate the lady leg pattern, but needed to complete my glow-in-the-dark Rough Rider line, and surprised how well it fits in hand. That's funny, because I was just playing with this before. This is a knife Mike Latham of CollectorKnives.net sent me. When I was talking about Rough Riders a lot, he got together some of his Rough Riders that he didn't want anymore and sent them to me. And this big lady's leg was one of them. And man, you're right. The actual shape of this is incredibly ergonomic, especially in a large handle. Now, my wife bought 5 or 6 of the small Rough Rider ladies' legs in different cover patterns to give to her young cousins all females and all women, girls, etc. And in the smaller version, it feels good, but the large version feels great. Sorry, Jim, what was that one you had up? All right. So let me show you a couple of others here. Now I'm just showing off these cool knives that Dave sent. But this one I feel a closeness to because, well, it's the Roman by We Knives. And I think this is a really cool knife. It's designed by Alessandra De Santis. She's an Italian knife designer. Hydra Designs, I believe, is her company name. And she comes out with a lot of cool designs. But to me, this is the chief among them. This is the coolest. Based on her Roman heritage, her Italian heritage. I'm not even going to attempt to do that left-handed. And so this is based on a old Roman, traditional Roman folding knife. It feels great in hand, but look at how cool it looks. I mean, it's got this little decorative sort of historical flourish on the back that you could probably use as a noggin knocker if you had the druthers. And it's deceptively long. It's such a slender, sharp. Well, the whole package is so slender, and then that blade is so tapered and slender. It looks snuzz. Time for me to get to work. Take care, fellas. Lots of fun knives tonight. Thank you, Snuzz. Have a great time at work. Be careful and get home safe at the end of the day. I'm a huge fan of her designs. The Hecate or Hecate is amazing. Couldn't afford it, but I bought the Hydra instead. Yeah, that's the Boker, right? The Boker Hydra. Pretty cool. Well, I think it has a GRN handle, but it's that similar design. Look at how beautiful this thing is. And I'm not just saying this because it's Italian, but I love that swedge. I love the beautiful, very simple blade shape. It's so thin and stabby, and yet yokai, not Hydra. Jeez. And yeah, I knew what you were talking about, though. Redacted. Thank you for redacting that. But just really comfortable in hand, simple. It's like we're optimized for holding sticks. This is a very simple neutral handle. I really like it. Knife Junkie, haha, it's a Roman design. Now that explains why old world Spanish fruit knives have that distinctive look like it. Oh. Why? Because the Romans ran roughshod all over Europe? I'm not sure what you're getting at. Simple yet elegant. Maybe that's what you're getting at. I agree. I do like the textural pocketing on the scale. Interesting. No clip. But this, and I think Dave was saying this is how he carries it. And I saw a video with Alessandra DeSantis showing how she carries it. She carries it right along the outer edge of her pocket. Then when she removes it, she sort of waves it open with that front flipper / protrusion. And it's cool. It looks like it would do more than just fillet. Yeah, no kidding. And but I think Dave was saying, and this is how I would carry this, is right next to the wallet in the back pocket. I've carried lots of things like knives and other things in my back pocket next to my wallet. The wallet kind of keeps it oriented north to south so that it doesn't slide around, land like this. And then you just pull it out. And then with this, just lever it off and you have an open knife. It's just such a cool and beautiful knife. Dave, thanks for sending this to me to check out. Dave knows my taste, but he also is observant about what I comment on, I guess, on his videos and his Instagram posts. And if I comment excessively, he's like, here, why don't I send this to you to check out? And I do appreciate it. Yes, the Romans fought with Carthage for centuries to finally conquer the Iberian Peninsula, eventually using Iberian mercenaries in their legions for centuries. Russell Crowe's character was Spanish. Yeah, you're right. And that's where that's how the falcata made its way into the Roman, right? Into the Roman army before they came up with the gladius. They were using falcatas, right? which I think got left in the Iberian Peninsula from Alexander the Great. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Excuse my French. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know the falcata moved around. That's like that giant kukri sword looking thing. And I'm pretty sure that came from Spain before it moved west. Anyway, or east. I don't know what I'm talking about. That is a cool knife. Never seen that one, says DJ. Yeah, it's cool. It's not, you don't see it too much because it doesn't have some of the things that people demand. First of all, it's got a long blade. It's a long knife overall. It doesn't have a clip. It is sort of a specialized knife, I think. Specialized not in use, but in those who might dig it. And man, I do dig it. I feel like I should get it just to have it because it says Roman. So there it is. Thank you, Dave. And then here's one other one that came from Dave that is very exciting. It's from a company called Petrified Fish. Like, where did they come up with this name, Petrified Fish? It's odd and strange, but this knife is built like a Harns, like really like inexpensively stout. Like, I have a feeling this is an inexpensive knife. I know it's an inexpensive knife. It's a budget, kind of in the budget realm. But God, man, it's built like an expensive knife. It feels great. It's got D2. It's got a really interesting grind that reminds me of the XM of the slicer grind, the Hinderer slicer grind, the way it kind of comes up from a short plunge grind way up high, and just very cool. Love seeing older designs with a modern touch. I do too. So cool to see great designs stick around. Agreed. That's what I love about the Spyderco Espada series. Petrified is killing it, says Matt Harvey. Yeah, I gotta say, I've liked a lot of the knives I've seen in Dave's pictures and videos, and then he donated this one to the channel, so we're gonna give this one away. And man, I really like it. I love that blue, that gray blue micarta. I mean, not micarta, G10. I just love that color. It's hard to gauge what that color really is against that green background. Let me see if this microfiber cloth does it any justice. You get the idea. It's sort of a grayish blue. It looks kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of looks like what the Germans, some of the colors the Germans had on some of their stuff in World War II. It's a beautiful color. Deep carry pocket clip. You got the G10 backspacer. What a cool knife, man. Even down to the one-sided lanyard access. Kind of a cool touch. Looks like slate. Yeah, right. Like a slate blue. Very nice knife. So there you have it. What is that? That's 1, 2, 3.5 inch blade. So totally in my realm of blade size. Like this knife a lot. Very, very interesting. Petrified Fish. Very interesting name. And not for nothing, I love the thumb access. I love that in particular, the way it's chamfered at that angle. All right. I want to talk about a couple of Bokers real quick because I found this very interesting. Boker is collaborating with HEA Designs on a production version of the Hunter, which was a knife that came out that has a really cool modified clip point. I don't know, extreme clip point, weird clip point, and Boker has taken it on and they are making their version of it. It's going to be a steel frame lock, and there it is. How cool! A Hunter, an HEA Designs Hunter within reach for most of us. I think this is coming out in November, and I just like it. I'm really psyched to see this one in particular, and might have to get it. I always admired this design from afar. Always kind of wished it was larger. It's a 2.84 inch blade, but I gotta say, my experience with Boker, at least Boker Plus, has been nothing but stellar. I have the Squale, I have the F3, I now have the Smatchet. I have the big giant Kalashnikov switchblade. They're awesome. I know, I guess Boker went through a Benchmade phase when they were getting dinged for their fit and finish, but I have not experienced that myself, thankfully. So I'm psyched to see that they're coming out with that. They're also coming out with an interesting collaboration with Lucas Burnley. What? You don't say. For like $75, says Redacted. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That sure beats the 400 you had to pay for it before. I like that blade shape. I do too. It's like an extreme clip. Now the way Mr. Schwartz over at Knife News describes it, he says clip point via cleaver or something like that. He sort of relates it to the cleaver, which I think is interesting. If only they'd do a production Boker version of the Poison or the Antidote. I don't know those two knives. Are those are two HEA? Oh, one of them is a recurved Tanto, I think. Yeah, that'd be cool. HEA is an interesting outfit. Boker is now releasing, they're about to release from Lucas Burnley. It's not another Quaken, though I'm sure they're cooking up another Quaken in there somewhere. This one will be the bladeless Quaken, perhaps. But Lucas Burnley and Boker are coming out with a fixed-bladed Barlow. Sean says, I remember when Boker used to be shit by everyone. But they have some awesome blades, like their black Kalashnikov Auto 3.5-inch clip point. You know what? I was thinking about this, Sean. Boker is very diversified. I think they have 3 different lines. They have Boker Solingen, which I think is their highest end. They have Boker Plus, which is where all their cool designs are, in my opinion. They have Tree Brand, which I think is just slip joints and traditionals. And then they have Boker USA or something. I can't remember what their lowest tier is. They're very diversified, and so I think that if you say Bokers are this or Bokers are that, you really have to narrow it down and talk about Boker Plus line or Boker, the different lines, and then I think you have a more accurate gauge. Everything from Boker Plus that I've handled has been spot on. Sean M, I feel like Boker knives are overpriced, he says. Interesting. Overpriced. Well, they are being made in a Western European country, but that's only the Solingen line. I think everything else is foreign made. Sean M, except for their Kalashnikov, well priced, he says. Yeah, indeed. So yeah, Lucas Burnley coming out with the fixed bladed Barlow. This will be an interesting thing. The Barlow. It is a slip joint knife known for its very long bolster. Here, I think I have a Barlow in here somewhere. Well, this is a Barlow here. I'll put this under the knife cam. So this Barlow here is a Jack. It's a 2-bladed Barlow, but it's got that big bolster. Barlows traditionally have really been working man's knives, and that big bolster is for extra support for the blade so that you can do more side-to-side action and that kind of thing. At least that's what I read about the meaning of that large bolster. Well, Boker, and then also the shape of the handle. That sort of sleeve board shape is emblematic of the Barlow. Well, Boker is coming out with one that Lucas Burnley designed. It's just a drop point. It's not usually you see him with clip point blades, but this is the one that he came out with is a drop point, and it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat. And that if I say neat, I'm not totally into it, but it's pretty cool. It's lacking the big bolster. That is kind of one thing that I kind of wish they included, but obviously they did that on purpose. And I think they're sort of evoking the bolster by putting in the big pin by where the pivot would be, and then putting the 2 smaller pins right where the bolster would end. I think that's kind of how they're evoking the bolster here. And it's got a nice big lanyard hole, and I like that. But Jim, if you would scroll down, the thing that I really like about this is the carry system. It's just got a little leather sheath with a clip on it. So you just pop the thing on your pocket, just like you would a regular pocket knife, a regular, knife type knife. And it sits right over there, and boom, you have access to your little pocket Barlow. So I think it's kind of cool. I like it. I'm not going to get it. I wouldn't mind owning it, but I like the wood. Overall, I like the design. I would have rather have seen a clip point, but that's just a personal taste issue. I think it's neat. Why not? At least it's not another Quaken. So that's where I stand on the issue. So, all right. DJ says, I buy a lot of overpriced knives, but only USA made for the most part. Nice, man. I can't adhere to that 100%. But I do have, my collection has really gone in that direction. I still do have other knives like this one made in Russia. Or no, I don't know. It's from a Russian company. I have no idea where it's made, actually, truth be told. But, I have, like this is made in Taiwan. This is a great knife. So I'm trying to keep it to the USA, but can't always. So Hollywood Tactical says, Knife Junkie, not true anymore. The Tree brand was a USA branch of Boker, which they bought and brought back in-house. Oh, okay. Their only other two lines are Magnum. That's the cheap one, right? And Plus, Chinese production. But isn't there Boker Solingen, the ones that are actually made there or is that the Tree brand? Quite confusing. Sean says, I don't know why my heart drops when I see made in insert cheap manufacturer and country here. It is it overrated or politically incorrect to prefer USA models? I think it's neither. I don't believe in political correctness, though it believes in me. I say, so no, I think you're perfectly well within your rights. I think if you proclaim that USA knives are USA made knives are all you're going to be, you might have less in your collection. They might be more expensive, and they might not necessarily be better made, but I think oftentimes they are. And then you have the pride of ownership. That is a thing. DJ says, Sean M., nothing wrong with supporting the home team. I work in U.S. manufacturing, so it's my excuse. So that's my excuse. Yeah, and plus, I got to say, just for me and my stage right now, the American knives are the ones that are most appealing to me. Like right now, I'm into the sort of early pantheon of classic sort of modern American knives. Chris Reeve, Strider. I have two Striders. I have the ProTech version, but I never carry that and then this is sort of the modern addition to this group, the 80-20, got the Les George VSEP, got the TRM Atom. To me, this is kind of the classic USA sort of bunch. Oh wait, here's one. I'd be remiss if I didn't add. The Spartan Harzy folder, and hey, why not the utterly ridiculous but somewhat exciting and compelling. I'm sorry, I shouldn't. But the Praetorian, which I'm trying to detach myself from. I feel like I need to sell it to make up some cashish that has left from other knives, but still liking it. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Hollywood says, Sean M., China made no longer means cheap and crappy. CRJB, Civivi, Kaiser, Riot, SRM, even Ganzo are killing the competition. Yeah. Well, I got to agree with you there, man. At least in terms of, it doesn't mean cheap crap anymore, because these knives are here. Here's the Keen Nader. Weird name, but cool knife. Really well made and inexpensive from Civivi. I'll be getting my dad a Finch Knives Barlow for Christmas. Oh, nice. So that's the 1929 you're talking about? That's pretty Barlow-esque. That's a great knife. That's a great knife. And I don't mean to put it this way, but it's kind of a great dad knife too, because if your dad is the type of guy who carries a knife, but he's not carrying a giant 4-inch smatchet. Yeah, that the 1929 by Finch is so charming and so capable, sharp, small, light, and fun, and good looking. So, I mean, shit, why not? Michael Morgan says, overseas gets my budget money. USA gets my higher priced money. Yeah, right. And to me, right now, I'm in a, I'm in a stage where I'm not buying up so much that it takes a lot now to get me to, like, if I were to buy a Civivi, I'd have to be really compelled. Like there are some like the Wii Blackow, I would buy that all day long, but there aren't too many Wiis that I would spend that money on. Solingen is only the name of the city where Boker, JJ Zwilling, and numerous other knife companies. I know Solingen is like has been a knife making capital for hundreds of years, but I thought that they had a line called their Solingen line, meaning that that's where they made it, and that's how you would distinguish it from a Chinese made Boker. I think I got that from Messer HQ. Messer HQ is a great channel. It's an American guy living in Germany, and he collects slip joints. Really, a really good channel. Messer HQ. Messer, if you don't know, is the German word for knife. And his channel is awesome. Place of manufacture is not as important as quality, in my opinion. Yeah, quality and value, For instance, if this is a $400, if this knife is worth $400, which in my opinion it is, due to how it's made, the design, who made it, the circumstances and all that, then it is. But otherwise, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Sorry. DJ says, I'm more inclined to buy a higher end Chinese knife when it's a great design, often from the US. Yes, right. That's a great way of, yes, me too. Almost always. Shane says, I now only buy American, but I've learned not to speak of it on social media. I've been attacked on several occasions. Sorry, Shane, I'm not laughing at you. You're being attacked, but it's so ridiculous how people can be. I don't badmouth anyone for their decisions. That was just mine. Here's the good thing. You just say, where was your shirt made? Chances are it was made in the Philippines or Vietnam. Where were your underwear? Where was your underwear made? Chances are it was made in the Philippines or Vietnam. So shut the hell up. Unless you're buying special, expensive, handmade American boxer shorts, you probably don't have, you're on clay feet. Sean says, what is that huge folder you have? I don't know, man. I got a lot of huge, Sean, if you don't know, I have quite a large collection of the giant cold steel folders. I'm wondering if you're thinking of, because a few weeks back, I had the cold steel Espada XL out. It's got a 7.5-inch blade and like a, I don't know, 9-inch handle. It's immense. And you open it up and it is solid as the day is long. And if you choke back on it, it is essentially a short sword. Walt says, I have been trying to buy a Demko for weeks now. If I'm going to buy American, I'm going to buy the American that I want. I'm not going to overspend for a knife that I don't really care about. Well, that is a good way of looking at it. This 80-20 took me, I was looking for an 80-20 for a long time, not necessarily actively, but then Lavender Pants, who I haven't heard from a long time. I hope you're doing well, Lavender Pants. If you ever see this, sent me a text saying River's Edge Cutlery, which is local to him, had 6 of them. And he took a picture and said, pick which one you want. I'll buy it for you and you can send me the money. So, it happened like that. Hopefully you have a similar awesome experience. Hollywood Tactical says, Knife Junkie, I think it's Boker Arbolito tree in Spanish. Yes, right. And I think those are mostly fixed blades, right? The Arbolitos. I think for high-end fixed, right? Boker Magnum, edgier line, and Boker Plus, their budget Chinese-made line. Okay. What is this? Yeah, this Boker Plus is killer, man. I think all of mine then are Boker Plus. Boker Manufacture Solingen. Thank you, Jim. All right, what do we have for, oh, what do you know? Knife fight tonight is American made versus Chinese made. That's the conversation we've been having like for the past 20 minutes. Do I really have to debate it? I don't think I will, but if I were to, Medford. Oh, this one right here. Yeah, that is a large folder. It is ridiculous. The design is ridiculous, but that doesn't mean it's not super sharp, very compelling and exciting. I do love this knife, but it is it is an acquired taste, I believe. I don't believe that we are born into this world thinking that this is a good looking or practical seeming knife. It is the kind of knife that you must acquire a taste for. Whereas any human being looking at this knife knows that it's gorgeous. Any human being gazing upon a Harsey design such as this knows that it's gorgeous. This, you kind of have to learn. It's sort of like, that's the one kid that you have that does everything backwards, you know? Shane says, I have and would buy Chinese again, but not until there are more American knives on my wish list. I hear that, man. That's a pretty good looking tableau, isn't it? All right, so let me do a quick one. Agent Orange Peel. First of all, welcome. Glad to have you here. I only carry American, though I'll admit I'm missing out on some great Riot made knives. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you are. But I mean, if it's part of your code, man, you're not really missing out. You just don't have those knives, but you have other awesome American made knives, like the American Blade Works. What is this? This is the version. This is the Model 1 version 5. I think he stopped with version 6. Stopped refining. Another great American knife. This is within reasonable reach, and made in a one-man shop. It's a great knife. I'm going to put that up here. Put this up here. Perhaps that's a future classic. All right, let me do this knife fight real quick. I'm going to say American made versus Chinese made. And I'm going to give myself a minute. American made. When you buy American, you are putting money right back into our own economy. Yes, it's true. When you buy a Chinese knife from, say, Blade HQ, you're also putting money in the economy. You're paying Blade HQ. They're paying their people. Their people are going to the local Starbucks and getting coffee. So you are putting money into the economy when you buy a Chinese knife, but you're also sending money to China. And well, I think they're kind of we have an adversarial relationship right now. And so to send money to China is kind of it's kind of counter mission, if you will. So American made knives mostly show a greater deal of attention. Fewer knives are made. The people who make them are higher paid. The knives cost more. They're higher quality, just by virtue of all of those things. I will grant you, Chinese companies are making some fantastic knives, but I will also have to say that they do lack a bit of soul. They have wonderful workings, but there's no ghost in that machine. That's what I'll say about that. And now, China made. You could buy American. You could stick to your guns. And if you're not a true junkie of knives, you might be able to really get through your whole collection only having American made knives, and you would forego the Swiss Army knife. You would forego the there are lots of knives that you would have to say no to, including Chinese made knives. However, with the manufacturing capabilities, the manpower, and the the amount of engineers, frankly, that China produces, graduates every year, you cannot help but find a great Chinese knife. The days of cheap Chinese knives being crap are over, and now we have some of the most high quality, most advanced manufacturing out there, producing some of these great knives. Incidentally, many of them by American designers who cannot afford to have their designs produced here in the States. And even if they were produced here in the States, they would be I lost my train of thought. Kurt Singer's slave labor. First of all, welcome, sir. Slave labor comment got me. So that's where I come down. Those are my arguments. You could spend a whole lot of money on a great American knife, or you could spend a lot less money on a great Chinese knife. That's what it comes down to. And if your tastes lean towards the knives that are coming out of China, but you have problems with buying China, I am sorry, because that's a tough one. But if your tastes, like mine, lean more towards these American designs, like I have under the knife cam, then you're sorry, because you're going to have to pay a lot more money to get them. So either way you go, I don't want to say you're screwed, but I think something to remember is I just don't buy a knife under communist rule. What about other things, Kurt? Do you buy other things made under communist rule? I'm just curious, and I'm not saying that to be a snot. I am curious, because some people really live by that code across the whole span of their life, and I certainly don't. Though buying strictly American isn't part of my code, but if it were, I think I would have the hardest time, like buying clothes and shoes and some other essentials that are made in the States, because I can't. I have a pair of American boots that I love, and I hope I have them the rest of my life, because they were damn expensive. But my jeans, my freaking Levi's, they're made in China. I don't know. You can get you can get Origin jeans made by Jocko Willink for, several $100, but I can't afford that. Sean M says China gives an impression of mass production and borderline slave labor. USA made gives the impression of passion, American workers grinding blood, sweat, and tears, and razor sharp steel. Yeah, I agree with you, Sean. I agree with you 100% on that. Though I know Riyadh, at least when they started, they were a lot more of a small, like upstart, what do you call it? Like entrepreneurial outfit. I know they must have grown since then. And who knows how their relationship with their own government has changed since then. I don't know. I don't know any of this stuff. A lot of custom makers have their designs produced in China because they would cost the same as the custom OEM. You're right. And we talked about this with Millet. And actually, we're going to be doing we haven't done one of these in a long time, but the deep cut, where we just have a half-hour show where we talk about a very specific topic with someone. We're going to be doing a deep cut with Josiah DeMille of Millet Knives, and this is exactly the kind of thing we're going to talk about, because there they are, Millet Knives, trained up in making knives in the Chris Reeve factory. They know what they're doing. They've got great means of production, and when they've messed things up, they've, as they were growing, he admitted they made some mistakes, and then they figured them out. And but still, there are those. It costs a lot to manufacture in the States, and we were talking about the possibility of them becoming the American Riyadh, where American designers and makers could have their knives made by Millet, and they're like, that's what we're trying to do. Sean says, you need to put soul in those Levi's jeans. Oh, baby, there's plenty of soul and lots of funk in those Levi's jeans. Just kidding. That was gross. You didn't need to hear that. American made versus China. People who comment, I don't buy Chinese knives because insert whatever reason on social media, type their comments on a foreign made mobile phone or PC with parts from China. It's just silly. It is true. It is true. And I never, It's like if you want a phone, if you want a cell phone, your choices are limited, and they're all limited to Chinese made phones. If you want a knife, that changes. If you want, as you go from product to product, there are different things that you can legitimately buy American made, and other things it's like not really possible. So, in one way you have to be forgiving, because to live in this society, you have to have a freaking cell phone, and you're not going to have an American made one. But if you want to be into pocket knives or into knives, you don't have, you can just stick to your guns on that thing. It's like kind of like, you do what you can. And if your code says, I want to buy all USA, I can't, but I want to, and I'm going to strive. So you do what you can. And in the knife realm, you can get by on just American knives, and they're going to be awesome. You just might have fewer, you might spend more money, whatever the caveats are. You do what you can to live up to your code. None of us are, 100%. It's not possible to be 100% committed to a code like buying USA only. I don't think. Maybe it is, but it would take like more effort than many of us have time to spend in our day to do. Shane says, I just say buy whatever your heart and conviction leads you to. We're lucky we have so many choices. That is for sure. All right, y'all. It is 6 minutes after midnight on the East Coast, and I'm turning into a pumpkin. Case should start making phones, or at least phone cases to start with. Case flip phones. Oh, that's good, Michael. That's 2D. That's 3D underwater chest there. All right. So coming up on Sunday, episode 256 of the Knife Junkie podcast, it's Brian Moreland of JB Knives. JB Knives made this gorgeous and deadly little item. This is the JB Knives clinch pick, or not clinch pick. So sorry, guys. Ditch pick. Excuse me. And it is a double-edged Pikal style knife that I love so much. It's got a tiny 1/16 of an inch thin blade. They have a couple of lines. Their ditch line, they make all of their knives in this really thin steel, and they've done a whole bunch of testing, both in the field and in their shop. And this very thin gauge of steel performs outstandingly, way better than you might expect. And we have a great conversation. And by the way, Brian Moreland of JB Knife and Tool is just a cool guy. He was very nice, great guy to talk to, cool, and also a practitioner of the Filipino martial arts. So his love of these kind of self-defense-y style knives comes from his training. Great show, says Andrew Bentley. Thank you, Andrew. And my just by the way, Andrew, my daughter is scamming on the little knife you sent me. So I got to hold fast to that Damascus. So thank you for that. Thank you one and all for joining us here on Thursday Night Knives tonight. It's greatly appreciated. Good night, Lone Wolf. It was great to have you here. Love this banter, he says. Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you being here and being a part of this banter and being a part of the show. Appreciate it. So for Jim and Shane, you handled that topic with class, Bob. Well, thank you, sir. For Jim working his magic behind the switcher, I am Bob DeMarco saying thank you for this gathering. It's been greatly appreciated. Be well, Knife Junkie, says DJ. And until next time, thank you for your hospitality. My pleasure, Walt. Take care. Matt, take care. And Redacted, take care. And until next time, don't take dull for an answer.